In front of the Georgian parliament, a handful of pro-European activists have been demonstrating every evening since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
We are here because our country is in danger. Our choice, the people's choice, is Europe. But our government is dragging us towards Russia. Georgia has struggled for a long time, 30 years, for only little progress. And today we're sliding backwards. We do not want to slide back to Russia.
On the 7th of March, protests erupted after Parliament adopted a law based on the Russian model, labelling as foreign agents all NGOs with any funding from abroad. Thousands took to the streets. The police dispersed them with sound grenades, water cannon and tear gas. After 3 days of protests, the ruling party withdrew the legislation to avoid further violence.
That's me. The guy with the red hat. I didn't want this woman to fall down. I wanted to hold her up, defend her and help her.
Levan is a winemaker.
That's a traditional Georgian vat, where we crush the grapes with our bare feet.
Levan first took to the streets in protest when he was 13, as the Rose Revolution brought the pro-Western Mikhail Saakashvili to power in 2003. Today, Saakashvili is serving a jail sentence, his health reportedly in a critical condition. For Levan, the foreign agents legislation was the last straw.
I was furious. I want Russia to be in Europe. That's how my ancestors thought about things, and it's written into our constitution. It's a completely irreversible process. We've felt it in our own flesh, only too strongly, what Russia really is. We know it only too well. No one knows it better than the Georgians and the Ukrainians.
Street protests may have forced the law's withdrawal, but for many Georgians, the threat is still there. On the 24th of March, the German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock visited Tbilisi.
Thank you for everything.
The Prime Minister, Irakli Garibashvili, told her that Georgia was still working hard towards meeting the criteria for EU candidate status. But the very same day, in Parliament, he accused not Russia, but Ukraine and the Georgian opposition of wanting to drag Georgia into the war.
The real threat to our country is a plot directed against us, a plan for Ukrainization, for the opening of a second front in our country. The objective of the Ukrainian authorities is being realized in conjunction with the fifth column.
A fifth column, an internal enemy seeking to destabilize the country for the benefit of foreigners. It sounds like a carbon copy of Moscow's conspiracist propaganda. At his daily press conference, Georgian journalists asked the head of the ruling Georgian Dream Party for an explanation.
Is there any chance of you changing your obscure political discourse concerning Russia? Because we don't have any clear answers as to whether Russia is our enemy or not.
Our policies are pro-Western. With regard to Russia, we are pursuing a pragmatic policy. We have a relevant rhetoric. We are pragmatic, again, in order to keep peace in this country.
But the ruling party's links with Russia go beyond rhetoric.
This is Nika. Even from the prison, he gives us a hope and a motivation to fight.
Mtavari is one of Georgia's 3 opposition TV channels, and Eka Kvezitadze is its star presenter. The channel's pro-European founder, Nika Gvaramia, is in jail for misuse of corporate assets, a politically motivated conviction according to Georgian civil society and international NGOs. He is a fervent critic of Bidzina Ivanizhvili, an oligarch who made his fortune and his first political connections in Russia. Ivanizhvili was prime minister in 2012 and 2013, but then said he was quitting politics. Most Georgians, though, believe he is their country's de facto ruler.
Ivanizhvili, from the very beginning, his main goal was to get rid of free media and critical media. Nika was a main figure in the media. He was very influential. So his imprisonment was a clear message that the government was doing everything to sabotage our path to the EU.
Before he retreated into the background, Eka interviewed Ivanizhvili several times. She says he had always flirted with both Europe and Russia until the Ukraine war drew a line.
The Prime Minister made the statement somehow rebuking Ukraine to do everything to prevent this war. The date was very obvious for us that they are going to choose a side, and this side was Russia.
Another trial is now eliciting anger in Georgia. A 21-year-old man involved in the protests against the Foreign Agents Law could face 11 years in jail. Such moves put the country a little bit further from the EU candidate status that the government still says it wants to obtain this year, and that is the dream of more than 80% of Georgians.